It felt like I had lost a second dad. Rob gave me everything. Aaron Sorkin's words hit hard, cutting through the air right when the funeral area hadn't quieted down yet. As the goodbye ceremony for Rob Reiner went on in quiet respect, a thin, weak figure slowly walked through the rows of seats, then fell down next to the coffin. It was Aaron Sorkin, the student Rob loved the most, who showed up late, not because he didn't care, but because the pain and his sickness had almost broken him before he could say goodbye. Aaron came in with a tired, empty-looking face, bringing months of quiet and tears he had kept inside. His speech wasn't fancy or perfect yet. Every word shook and broke under the heavy sadness. Even though he was going through the weakest time for his health, he still pushed himself to stand there just to honor the teacher who had helped him through the most important years of his life. Maybe even after leaving this world, Rob Reiner got the best gift of all, real and deep love from the people whose lives he had changed. They came, they cried, and they said, "Thank you." And you, how will you remember Rob Reiner? On the morning of December 23rd, the early sunlight was still weak over the long beach by the ocean, the spot where their parents had wanted to rest in peace one day. Romy and Jake Reiner stood next to each other, holding hands tightly, their hearts full of sadness without words. They picked a private, hidden part of the Los Angeles coastline, a place no one could bother. Only close family was invited, plus a few friends who had been there for life and shared Rob's political views and strong friendship, along with some old co-workers who had supported them for many years. This was the place where Rob and Michelle had once told their kids that if they ever left this world, they wanted to go back to the sea where the waves hit steady like breathing, where the wind brought memories and final peace. That simple but deep choice became their last wish, and now their two kids had to make it happen. The coffin sat for a short time on the sand, surrounded by pure white flowers, old photos, and a few small candles flickering in the ocean wind. The waves made soft sounds, like they were whispering with the family's sadness, reminding everyone that life goes on, even though Romy and Jake's hearts felt completely broken. Romy held back tears, her voice shaking. "Mom, Dad, the ocean will hold all your memories, but I still can't." Jake stood by his sister, looking down at their parents' coffin. His eyes were red as he looked out at the far sea, where the sun was coming up slowly. He breathed out deeply. "We'll try, but I don't know how we're supposed to keep going." The sea wind blew their hair and scattered white petals. But it also brought the warm feel of memories from Happy Days hugs and smiles that had once been so real. Soon after Romy and Jake's phone calls the day before about the funeral, many of Rob Reiner's close friends and old co-workers started showing up one by one. Rita Wilson walked onto the sand, her eyes puffy from crying, mixing with the ocean wind, her voice shaky, but full of heart. They lived and loved with all they had. I don't know what else to say except, thank you for letting me know them. Being there brought the warmth and love of a true friend, like she wanted to hug the sad family. Not long after, Meg Ryan showed up, bowing at the coffin and gently touching the white flowers. She whispered, "Oh, how much we will miss him." Rob believed in love, laughter, and kindness in this world. Meg had worked with Reiner in his best years, and the loss made her feel like part of her young days was gone forever. Next came Billy Crystal, Larry David, Martin Short, and Albert Brooks, well-known Hollywood faces who had been with Rob through many parties, shows, and movie sets. They stood quietly, sadness in their eyes, giving their shared respect. Rob Reiner was a talented person in many ways, a friend, and a loyal co-worker whose impact on their lives and jobs would never go away. Jerry O'Connell, who Rob had helped since he was a young actor, couldn't stop his tears. He bowed deeply at the coffin, his voice shaking. "It feels like I've lost a second father. Rob gave me everything." Each word made the empty feeling deeper in Romy and Jake's hearts, but it also showed proof of how much their parents had affected others. Several other actors came too, bringing a heavy, respectful quiet. Stephen King, whose book Rob had turned into a movie once, stepped up and bowed toward the sand. "Rest easy, Rob. You always supported me, and I will be thankful forever." His words sounded among the waves like last messages to a great friend who had left. Kathy Bates came with red eyes, holding a small framed photo from an image Michelle had taken for the misery campaign that she loved most. She gently put it next to the coffin and whispered, "Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Rob. You changed my life." She sat down, held Romy's hand, and remembered times from set dinners where Rob always made everyone laugh until they cried, while Michelle quietly took the most beautiful pictures. Rob Reiner's influence went way beyond normal love. Not just friends, but political people like Barack and Michelle Obama were there too. They came in a private car without any group, quietly going into the hidden area the family had picked for the goodbye. Michelle hugged Romy right away at the entrance, saying nothing, letting her tears fall on the young woman's shoulder. Barack put a hand on Jake's shoulder and whispered that Rob had been not just a friend, but a partner in dreams for a better America. They sat in the front row, heads down, like they were trying to keep one last moment of peace for a friend taken way too soon. The most heartbreaking moment of the funeral was when Rob Reiner's favorite student, Aaron Sorkin, showed up. It happened in the middle of the service when Aaron Sorkin appeared at the doorway, his body thin, his face pale like he hadn't slept for days. He stood there a long time, looking at the coffin without blinking, like he was trying to make himself believe this wasn't real. Jake walked over to him, planning to hug him, but the second his hand touched Aaron's shoulder, Aaron fell down. He dropped in the middle of the aisle, both hands holding his head, crying hard without noise. The quiet, broken sounds filled the area and made it feel like the whole world had stopped breathing. The sad news had come to Aaron Sorkin in a short phone call, cold and harsh in how quick it was. He stood still, not able to believe what he heard, like the ground had been pulled away under him. His heart hurt bad, his breathing got messy, his mind so blank that doctors later told him to stay totally still. He had been very close to having a stroke. Aaron couldn't go to Rob's house, couldn't make himself go through the door where his teacher had once laughed, argued, and taught him how to believe in words. He stayed quiet, crying by himself, letting the pain hurt him day after day. In the days after, Aaron almost vanished completely. There were no reasons given, no public events, just a quiet that was scary in how long it lasted. He told a few close people that he didn't have the power to get up, that the loss was too big, too sudden. Rob had not just been a work partner, but a strong support in life, the person who had seen his talent before anyone else knew his name. And because of that, Aaron picked the only thing he could do, to cry quietly, to suffer quietly. It was only at the funeral that Aaron finally came. As he walked up to the coffin, his legs shaking and not able to hold Hiam. He fell down again, crying in a way he couldn't control. The guests stood still, no one tried to stop it. Just watching. The air felt heavy with sadness, and in that moment, everyone seemed to breathe at the same time as Sorkin. The sound of the waves, the wind, and his crying mixed into a quiet, special silence. When he finally got up, Sorkin tried hard to make his voice steady, even though tears kept coming. He talked through cries, each word pulled from deep inside. When I heard that my teacher had passed away, I was quiet for a very long time. I fell deep into sadness, not able to do anything except look at the empty space he left. But when I heard that this would be the last goodbye, I knew I had to come. I had to stand here and say goodbye. Aaron walked slowly to the coffin, put his hand on the cold wood top, and whispered, "Rob, you were my first teacher, my big brother, my close friend, someone I never thought I would have in my life. You took the messy script from a nobody kid and said, 'We're going to make this movie, Aaron, and you're going to write even better things.' You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." His words sounded over the beach, mixing with the waves and the cries of the people there. Everyone could feel how huge the loss was, so big that no one could stop their tears. He talked about the early days when they worked together, when he was a young writer who knew nothing about Hollywood. And Rob opened the door, opened his heart, helping him step by step, detail by detail, through every script. "You gave me the faith that I could do something important. And now I have to say goodbye to the man who taught me everything that mattered most." Sorkin's crying went on with the sea wind, mixing with the sadness of the two kids and spreading over the whole beach. He talked about Michelle, calling her a dear friend, a kind person who was always next to Rob, helping and being with him through every happy and sad time. Michelle, you were the soft light in Rob's life, and you were a light for all of us, too. His voice fell apart, tears wetting his shoulders, and not one guest could stay calm. Sorkin's speech left the whole beach in a strange quiet, but everyone could feel the strong connection between teacher and student, of friendship and years of loyalty. He remembered strong talks, laughs behind the scenes, and many little moments where Rob always looked after everyone nearby. Each story made the guests feel choked up, like they were losing a part of their own memories, a part of their hearts. He turned to Romy and Jake, his voice shaking but full of kindness. My children, your parents were amazing people. They loved, they helped others up, and they taught you how to live with kindness. Hold those lessons and never forget their smiles. The two kids looked at Sorkin, tears running down their faces, feeling that the connection between him and their dad was a valuable gift Rob had left. When his speech was over, Sorkin bowed deep one last time at the coffin, tears pouring down his face, and whispered, Rob, Michelle, you will live forever in my heart. In every word I write, every movie, every memory, I will never forget. The guests stood quiet, many hiding their faces as sadness spread like a river over the shore. The funeral went on, but all eyes were on Sorkin, the man who had just taught everyone a deep lesson about guiding others, friendship, and love. In that terrible loss, his words and tears were like a bright light, showing the pain, but also reminding everyone that Rob and Michelle had lived, had loved, and had left a lasting mark on so many hearts. As Aaron left the beach, Romy and Jake stood still, quietly watching him go. The waves kept crashing now, bringing a promise that the memories and love their parents left would stay in Sorkin's heart, in their friends, and in the two kids themselves. A sad, but very touching proof of love and connection that lasts beyond time. At the end of the service, Romy put her hand on her mom's picture and whispered softly, Michelle, I'll keep everything in my heart. I won't forget you. Jake bent down, put his hand on the coffin, and breathed out quietly. Father Rob will try to live on, but this pain will never go away. Those broken words were not just a goodbye, but a huge sadness they would carry for the rest of their lives. White petals floated down onto the sand with the wind, mixing with the salty sea smell. Like every little thing was full of sadness and love. Each wave hitting the shore was like the lasting beat of memory, reminding that Rob and Michelle had lived, loved, and given everything to their kids. When everyone else left, only Romy and Jake stayed standing still and looking at the coffin, letting each sad moment go deep into their hearts, letting the pain mix with the sea. The quiet was so deep that every sound seemed swallowed by the big empty space, the place where two kids now had to learn how to live without their parents. The beach funeral, simple but deep, became the last goodbye where love, sadness, memory, and the ocean became one. Romy and Jake knew they would keep their parents' pictures in their hearts forever, in every wave and every breath of wind, a heartbreaking but treasured proof of family love. So what made Aaron Sorkin and Rob Reiner so close that in one night of loss, a man known for his strength and quick, smart words could totally break down like he had lost the base of his life? In the always-changing world of Hollywood, where connections often stay just short work ties, the friendship between Aaron Sorkin and Rob Reiner was a rare one, deep, lasting, and based on real respect. They met in the early 1990s at Castle Rock Entertainment, when Rob, as one of the founders of the studio, had in his hands the script of Aaron's first play, written by a young man full of passion but totally new to movies. Rob didn't just see talent, he saw a possible create. I've partner. He decided to direct A Few Good Men. And from that time, the connected path of two talented people started. The months they spent working in Castle Rock's offices in Los Angeles changed them from co-workers to something like mentor and close friend. Aaron often remembered that Rob was the first person who really listened to him, not just to his lines, but to his craziest, most different ideas. With his lot of experience, Rob became like a big brother and unofficial guide. He would sit patiently for hours with Aaron and William Goldman, talking about every line, every beat, every small detail. It was in these talks that Rob by accident suggested what later became the famous walk and talk idea, characters moving while they talk, making the fast, sharp rhythm that became Aaron Sorkin's clear style. Their first work together, A Few Good Men, became a strong proof of the good match and respect between these two passionate artists. Sorkin brought pages full of sharp dialogue and strong drive. Reiner turned them into clear pictures, scenes full of tension but real. In Reiner's office, the two would sit across from each other for hours, going over every detail, tone, speed, moves, and pressure. Through that, they didn't just make a classic movie, they built a deep bond between the writer and the director. Their connection went beyond work to a shared feel for creativity. Rob often said that Aaron's dialogue was like jazz, complicated, smart, and full of energy. He felt lucky to direct those words because they needed a picture rhythm exact enough not to make them weaker. Aaron, in the few times he talked about Rob, always showed real thanks. Rob not only got his first script on the big screen, but also taught him how to turn words into action, how to make ideas live in a movie. They kept working together with The American President in 1995, a soft but smart Politica, a love story that later felt like a good start for The West Wing. During that time, their friendship got even stronger. Rob often asked Aaron to his house for dinner where they would talk late into the night about politics, life, and the strong beliefs they both followed. They worked on political ads in 2004, stood together on social topics, and always gave each other quiet but strong support. Through the years of working together, Reiner and Sorkin watched each other grow in their jobs. Sorkin went from a young writer to one of the most wanted in America, while Reiner kept building his name with emotional and important works. But more important than any success was the trust and respect they had, a connection that couldn't be bought with money or fame, but grown through real understanding and true link. Rob Reiner once told a shared friend, "Aaron isn't just a great writer. He's someone I can tell anything to without worry of judgment." And Sorkin, in an interview thinking about their friendship, said, "Rob always made me feel like I could be the best version of myself in my work and my life." That feeling perfectly showed their bond, a friendship that went beyond work, where both men found comfort and deep feeling. Later, even when both got busy with their own projects, they stayed in touch with long phone calls, surprise messages, words of support when one struggled. Rob watched the success of The West Wing and The Social Network with pride, often telling others that its special style started in those early days at Castle Rock. Aaron, though not often open about personal feelings, always saved his warmest words for Rob in interviews, saying that Rob was not just a director, but the man who opened the door for his career and his heart into movies. Their friendship was never loud or showy, but it lasted over decades. It was built on job respect, shared values, and a mutual feel that both were trying to tell important stories to the world. Rob Reiner and Aaron Sorkin were not just two G names in Hollywood. They were two friends who made lasting moments on screen and, more importantly, shared the best years of creativity, humanity, and real connection together. Not only the family, but thousands of fans around the world also turned their hearts to this place, even if just through memories and posts on social media. They remembered the movies, the moments of spirit and meaning that Rob brought to their lives. And this loss was not just the death of a talented director, but the loss of childhood memories and art inspiration itself. On forums and social sites, fans shared deep sadness. One wrote, "I can't even start to say how much Rob Reiner meant to my life, and the fact that he passed away with the wife he loved so much is heartbreaking." These messages felt like quiet tears flowing through the group, making anyone who read them feel the heavy sadness. Not only Rob, but Michelle Singer Reiner also got a lot of love from fans. She was remembered as a kind person, talented and loyal, much more than just Rob's wife. One person wrote, "Please don't forget Michelle. She was also a light and a source of inspiration for so many people." On many threads, people shared photos, personal stories, and close moments about her, honoring a full and amazing person that the world hadn't seen completely. The respects from fans were closely linked to Rob's movies. Fans remembered The Princess Bride, Stand By Me, This Is Spinal Tap, movies that had marked deep in their memories. One fan wrote through tears, "He gave us our childhood and our youth, and now looking back, everything feels so fragile." The feeling of loss was not just about death, but about a loved memory that suddenly felt empty. Online groups also showed their respect and sadness. On Reddit and X, thousands of comments came. Many from people who couldn't stop crying as they remembered the first time they watched Rob's movies, or how his dialogue taught them about love, justice, and courage. Many wrote, "We've lost a legend, but what he left will live on in us." The caring spread around the world. Fans from the United States, Europe, and Asia shared pictures, quoted lines, and personal memories of Rob and Michelle. They wrote that this loss reminded them of the importance of love, creativity, and kindness, the exact things Rob and Michelle always showed in their lives and their art. Even though they couldn't go to the funeral, people sent their respects through photos, writings, and very emotional messages. They died together. It's both beautiful and too hard to bear. We will never forget. These words sounded like whispers on the ocean waves, linking the Reiner family with a worldwide group of fans through shared sadness and deep love. The funeral ended as soft waves touched the shore, like nature itself was bowing goodbye to Rob Reiner. In that heavy, hard-to-breathe space, Aaron Sorkin's words stood out like a late true feeling from a student to his teacher. There was no fancy stuff, no show, only the real pain of a man who had been saved by words and by the belief Rob had in him. As everyone quietly left, a question stayed in the air. What will we do to be worthy of what Rob Reiner left? Do we have the strength to tell true stories, the kindness to treat each other like he did? Maybe the answer is in how we live, how we write, and how we remember him, not just today, but in all the days ahead. Thank you, or staying until the last lines of this story full of loss. If you want to keep following stories of movies, humanity, and lasting emotional gifts, please subscribe to the channel so we can together remember, tell, and keep the things that really should be heard.